welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet. 18 people have been injured after explosive devices went off in central Damascus near the hotel where French President Emmanuel Macron had been staying. State news agency had said that 2 devices had been detected by security forces which exploded as specialized units began the process to defuse them. One device was placed inside a parked vehicle while the other was concealed in a bin. Macron has been in the capital for talks with his Syrian counterpart Ahmed al-Shara at the presidential palace. His officials said he was safe and did not hear the explosions. Alright, well, the twin blasts are not an isolated incident and carry deep historical and political weight with them. Let's have a look at the context behind today's blast, their timing and what meaning they could possibly carry. Then of course we'll discuss and get some perspective from our guests as well. All right, let's talk about the Damascus explosions. Well, it's a fragile transitional period following the 2024 Bashar al-Assad regime change, which of course was an international headline. It was extremely popular for the kind of succession also that it showed to the world. By that I mean the current president, of course, coming in as the leader of Syria with a lot of question marks. He was a part of the resistance. Some people also in fact said that he was not only a part of the resistance, he belonged to an organization which had a questionable past as well. So Bashar al-Assad was a Syrian doctor and military officer, served as president from 2000 to 2024. In fact, he's been accused of genocide. He's been accused of a lot of war crimes as well. Assad's regime was a highly personalist dictatorship. It turned Syria into a totalitarian police state. In fact, the law and order situation was extremely questionable as well at that point in time. In December 2024, Assad's regime was toppled by a fractured but blended coalition of armed groups who used to fight amongst each other back in the days, but they got together to overthrow Assad. In fact, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, Sunni Islamist group, launched major offensive. The Syrian National Army, major coalition of opposition groups, was also a part of that resistance and overthrow. The Syrian Democratic Forces, the Kurdish-led multi-ethnic alliance, was also a part of that resistance that eventually led to the ouster of Assad as well. Throughout the conflict, rebels received varying levels of support from Western and regional powers as well. In fact, there was also a time when the Americans were said to have supported these rebels. Who backed Assad? It was Russia, Iran, Hezbollah, Iraq. Who backed the rebels? Well, it was the US, like I said, Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Kingdom and France as well. And those rebels are in power today, and that's why you have Emmanuel Macron in Damascus as well. Well, the aftermath was that Bashar al-Assad fled Syria. 5 decades of rule ended and he was granted asylum in Russia. Vladimir Putin took him in, and the aftermath, of course, was also that Ahmed al-Shara emerged as their leader. He was a former HTS leader who became the face of the transitional government as well. Even when Donald Trump met Shara, there were, of course, a lot of questions asked. International engagement replaced the isolation. Western powers started re-engaging with Damascus, something that had not been done for decades altogether. And Donald Trump, of course, was pivotal in that outreach as well. Al-Shara plays basketball with US officials ahead of his Washington visit. These are, of course, some of the visuals which went viral on social media. And like I said, the isolation which Syria had undergone soon became a thing of the past. Well, the US began easing sanctions. European countries started reopening diplomatic channels as well. Arab states accelerated normalization. The political transition, the move towards Kurdish integration, was also something which escalated right after this transition took place. In fact, giving Syria, the much sought after economic relief that it had been gunning for since a very, very long time. So, described the fall of Assad regime a historic opportunity. This is what the EU said. and it offered support for transition and economic recovery as well. Syria had been reeling under economic backwardness for decades, and first EU head of state to visit the post-Assad Syria. It was a major milestone that Emmanuel Macron was there. He was in Syria for a diplomatic rehabilitation as well. It's unfortunate that this bomb blast took place, and strong endorsement of al-Shara's government. France positioning itself in Syria's reconstruction as well. They're looking at this as an opportunity as well, and why not? That's what every country wants to do at this point in time. What was the agenda for this visit by Emmanuel Macron? Of course, the reconstruction and investment, the signing of cooperation agreements, the counter-terrorism cooperation and regional security, and inclusive political transition was also something that Emmanuel Macron was looking at. What the probe has said about these blasts? Well, there were 2 IEDs that were used. Macron not in danger. He never even heard any of these explosions. Of course, they happened outside the security perimeter. No group so far has taken responsibility. ISIS is in focus for these twin blasts. And this is, of course, going to be a worry, because as far as Syria is concerned,